Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League here for Season 21. We are back from break week. The summer break has taken effect and we are here for round number 6 of the season. It's going to be the first time round 6 gets run after some technical difficulties yesterday for Tier 1 drivers. Unfortunately, their race getting postponed. But we are here for the Australian Grand Prix here at the Albert Park circuit. And it is sprint evening for good measure, which means one-shot qualifying, mixed up grids, and hopefully a lot of racing action as we go through. My name is JPH. I'm going to take you through all the action, and alongside me, as always for Tier 2, is ARL. Good evening, ARL. How are yourself?
Yeah, no, pleasure to be back in the commentary box after a week, and recharged and ready for some more action. But as you said, Tier 1 unfortunately not going ahead last night due to technical difficulties, so we're somewhat entering this race a bit blindsided, but I'm sure it'll be great action coming up our way.
Absolutely. Good evening to Beyond the Barrett and Iron. Also, Iron taking part in this event. Beyond the Barrett probably here looking for the racing action, and also for Tier 1 drivers looking to see what type of strategies get used here. I mean, ultimately you learn more from the Tier 1 in terms of strategy compared to Tier 2, but on the basis of the same race, you can still pick up a few things if you're a Tier 1 driver trying to learn for your postponed race probably next week. I'm not quite sure exactly how they're playing that one.
Yeah, no, 100%. Having the Tier 1, of course, before, it does give you somewhat indications on the tyre life, how the tyres are, and of course, this being a sprint race weekend, it does also factor in how, let's say the mediums in the sprint race are the preferred tyre, but that deg will be surely quite high towards the end of the stint, of course, not being a pit stop mandatory. It's all good information taken over, so the drivers would have done their prep. They've had the week off as well. Nonetheless, they'll have to go into it with a one-shot quali.
Yeah, which means you don't really get any chance really here to sort of bed in with the car. You've got to go out and you've got to get on it absolutely straight away. The only positive is obviously after the sprint race your park firming gets lifted, so if the car doesn't feel quite right you can make some adjustments for the feature.
Yeah, no, 100%. Some drivers might even approach that into the sprint race with maybe a more aggressive setup, see how that fares down, because of course it's only a third race distance, I believe, or something around those lines. So they can tend to have the car a bit more aggressive, more quali style trim, but some might go the other way around, try the race pace, see how it handles under a little bit more fuel conditions, but it'll come under different race scenarios for different drivers, so it depends on the driver. But regardless, they only have one chance to put a qualifying lap in, and it's probably the most important weekend, these one-shot quali, because it really does impact you in the race.
Yeah, usually 18 points on offer, but tonight a total of 24 is possible. Obviously the top 6 scoring points in the sprint races for IRL, so top 12 in the feature race. As we said when we sort of opened, it's sort of one of those ones with the one shot. It can create a really mixed up grid, and from there it can create a lot of great racing in the races because you're going to have various levels of pace trying to get through the field.
Absolutely, of course, and it's about who takes that extra risk in the one-shot quali, because you've only got one chance at it. But as we begin to load up into the session, let's see who we ride on board with.
Absolutely, and I don't know about you, but it's O. Stevens. Do you want to take us through a lap?
Absolutely, so O. Stevens coming up into turn 1. You want to somewhat cut as much of the corner as you can, ride through there, don't touch too much of the grass, they'll unsettle it now. Now you open what is effectively the first DRS of the lap. Turn in, try not to lock too much, you don't want to go too wide here because that compromises your entry into this part here. Watch for the curve, that unsettles the car. Then through into here, as you can see the wrist slightly sliding through there, but nothing harmful there. This one is one to watch. You've got to commit into this corner, otherwise you lose so much lap time. And just a little bit of unsettling with the Sauber driver. And now you open the DRS for the second time round. There's only 2 detection points, but 4 DRS locations on this track, so overtaking possible. Swoop into the fast left-hander, lifting off quite a lot on O'Steven. So clearly not as much pure downforce or confidence in the Cyber opens the next DRS range, coming into the final sector now here. Great amount of time to be won and lost through here. Try and make the most of the track you've got available on the outside. Don't touch too much of that inside curve, that will completely unsettle it. And same thing goes through here. Very easy to lock up the front inside tyre there. And now super around the final corner, which should be very close to flat. And now DRS will open very shortly to the final run to the line as Hulkenberger takes provisional pole, as though Steven is at a 1:18.5. But yes, Hulkenberg does take pole by a 1:16.8.
Yeah, so not a bad time that for Steven. You can definitely tell through that second DRS zone, he is definitely, that controller method, the wheel sort of juttering around. But it is Hulkenberger that takes pole position for the sprint race here in Australia, followed by Ginger Tiger. Row 2 is the Wolf and Iron. Row 3, Ira and Clipskiri. Row 4, J-Ray Bay, Stephen. Row 5, Madman and Daryl. Row 6 is Bruce and Lionel Greasby. Row 7, Mikey and Sir Spud. Row 8 is Trist Games and JMB Cyril and Jack, both not setting a lap time, Jack being an invalidation.
Again, we see the Aston Martin driver, Sir Spud, the only driver to complete his lap time on a medium set. So, could that potentially be a bit of understanding the tyre, where the grip is on a low fuel run, to maybe have a better idea what it is going to come into the sprint race potentially?
There's that element, I think, but I haven't yet to do a sprint race on this game, a sprint race weekend, so I'm unsure how the tyre allocation sort of works for it, but ideally you kind of want to be saving your sort of mediums, because you only get so many of them. You've got a sprint and a feature race to do on them, so it'd be interesting to see how that affects sort of the feature race as well, whether that means he's only going to have one set of mediums for the feature, so we could see some intriguing strategies.
Absolutely, but don't forget the hard tyre on this game. We have seen it famously be somewhat of a more consistent and better race tyre than the mediums. So maybe, of course, the drivers have their allocations. They can pick what they want to go for. But naturally, you will get two sets of mediums. But, of course, this being a sprint race weekend, one of them will be used in the sprint itself and the other in the main Grand Prix. But potentially, maybe, could that be hinting he's going for two sets of hards? Could be an option, but we won't find out until we get going.
Absolutely, and obviously good evening to Spud as well, also in the chat. Bjorn saying he'd like to see what to watch out for in terms of like the tyre wear, the track limits, and then follow that up, saving himself by saying, and obviously for the entertainment from us as well. Just that's a good save that, I think, from Bjorn.
Well, let's have a look at the tyre strategy, but the main strategy to go into the main race here, of course we haven't had the running last night, it's typically a one-stopper here. There's so many flowing corners, of course a lot of the corners that you have to crank that steering wheel very quickly, but they flow very quickly around the lap around Melbourne. 4 DRS locations as well, it's typically a one-stopper here, so I'm imagining it's a medium hard easily, but you never know. Safety cars coming out the wrong time for some drivers, maybe the right time, completely can mix up the entire grid and order.
Yeah, and things I think we've seen with this game as well. Actually, like in previous iterations of the game, this has been a pretty simple one stop. But I think with the high load generated through the corners around it, I mean, it is a very quick circuit, which means higher load. I think we could end up seeing a two-stop, and Bjorn sort of agreeing with yourself there, ARL, that sort of like hard, medium, hard, or something of that nature is better than two mediums and a hard. Also saying he's not quite that devoted to. I'm going to assume to picking up information from the stream. Here more for the entertainment than anything. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see just how this game reacts, because we've seen even in like the likes of Interlagos, where previously it has been possible to do a one stop, and it was last week, a couple of weeks ago, but I think it was harder than it has been in previous iterations.
Oh no, absolutely, it was. I think one of the closest ones. You had to be in the right place, right time to commit to that one stopper, but it was mighty close. between the two sets. I think where the drivers find more interest in the hard, medium, hard strategy rather than a medium, hard, medium is it's just from race weekend to race weekend here and there. The DEG is so high on this game, and we all know that. But the problem is, from track, it's just the mediums are a bit too unknown. The DEG, whether they'll suffer nicely, whether they won't. It's just the hard can always be a good, consistent tyre. And I think that's what a lot of drivers like to rely on, knowing that they have the trust in the tyre to go long and just keep up with the pure pace, really.
Absolutely, and let's have a quick look at the standings whilst we're going along the formation up quickly. Julian Amano, he's the leader, but he is no longer in the season, so that we are going to expect a new leader at some point this season, although it may not be this race, because he did have a 10-point gap over his teammate of Iron. Hulkenberger 30 points off the lead, with J-Ray Bay a further 4 behind that, but the Alpine's in a very good position at the moment. The Wolf was 5th, Berra 6th, Clips Kiri 7th, Matty Red 8th, Jack in 9th, and DXT Matty, even though he's pretty much only done sort of 2 or 3 races maybe, he's still there in the top 10. In terms of constructors, Mercedes do lead the way, but as we've seen, they have lost Jodian and Manu, and there is further news to come of that very shortly. Alpine 2nd, 54 points behind them, Aston Martin 3rd, Williams 4th, Sauber completing the top 5. And we'll have a quick look at the tyres. Everyone on the mediums except Lina Griesby, who's decided to go soft, so he's going for a very aggressive strategy here in the sprint race. But other news from the Mercedes camp is, whilst they've lost Jolian and Manu, they have gained It's the Cat for the remainder of the season, but unfortunately he's unable to be here tonight.
Yeah, no, it was unfortunate to lose Jolian and Manu on the run. He's been on recent form, it's just been incredible. He's been there for Mercedes, but they've got their replacement. Unfortunately, we won't see him tonight, but hopefully as soon as we can. But Line of Griesby, I just wanted to mention, starting on that soft tyre, so keep an eye out for him on the launch, because he's going to get much better traction, especially he's got his teammate right behind, so maybe that's why they're splitting strategies down at Ferrari.
Yeah, could well be a case. If you're asking for predictions, I don't really do predictions, because you just never know, and it's always a shame when you get it wrong. But we have the 5 red lights, and we resume season 21 for the sprint race here at Albert Park for the Australian Grand Prix weekend. It's a good getaway from Hulkenberger, and it looks like the Wolf is going to be challenging Ginger Tiger on the outside of turn 1. Through they go, a little bit of argy-bargy, but it looks like the Wolf's managed to get through there. Good move from himself. Ginger Tiger now, we do have a yellow flag, not quite sure, I think that's Trist. But Ginger Tiger now trying to fend off Iron. Does just about fend that position, keeps 3rd for now, but Iron right on his tail. We've got more yellow flags, that is Mikey. Seems like he's gone round, we'll come back to that at some other stage as we go line astern. I think that was turn 5. Jack has moved up to 13th. Everyone else through. Yeah, it was Mikey who spun around. But it is Hulkenberger at the moment who leads the way. And apart from JMB and Jack, I think JMB did he just overtake Jack? So no, yeah, mistake from Jack. He's got front wing damage already in this sprint race. Not an ideal way to start for the Williams driver. But everyone else just settling down into this line for now. And expect a very long DRS train.
Absolutely, but just to go back, it was turn 3 with Jack and Mikey, and including an Aston Martin of, I believe, Sir Spud. So that's why he's down in 15th with a front wing damage. And
Daryl's got front wing damage, he's just been overtaken, and that was Madman's round in sector 3 in the Haas. And it's allowed Bruce to go through. No damage to Bruce, so it looks like Madman maybe just losing it all on his own. But down to 14th for the Haas driver. But back at the front, Hulkenberger has 0.4 of a second, but that gap is closing from the Wolf. He's looking very racy tonight.
Absolutely, but this is the problem with this track. So much flowing to it for DRS locations and only 2 detection points. So if you've not broken the gap at that point in time, it's going to be very difficult to break the toe. But I imagine here, the Wolf should be able to get this move done. He's under 3/10 and he's very, very close to that rear wing of the Alpine. He's going to use a bit of battery to probably close up as the DRS now opens up. Will he gain enough? He's gaining. He's going to look to go around the outside through here. They're going side by side. Who's going to be last on the late brakes? It's going to be the Wolf. Wolf takes the lead of the sprint race. Hulkenberger has to settle for second. But this is going to bring now Ginger Tiger well in this fight because he's in that DRS as well.
Yeah, good stuff. Ginger Tiger, Ira, and just behind, I think obviously they gapped Ira. Ira's had a good start. He's in 5th place for now in the McLaren. Probably one of the better starts we've seen him have. Just about in the points and just about fending off J. Ray Bay for now. But the question is, now we're back in DRS territory and train. That gap to the Wolf is going to close, and I feel we're not really going to be moving away from this league battle anytime soon.
Absolutely not. You saw even as the Wolf crossed the line, 7/10 was the gap, so he's got some pace in there. But the problem is that DRS is going to keep with Hulkenberg as the Wolf gets a little bit of a tank slapper into turn 3, and that's closed up the Alpine to the Aston Martin. But you can see that the Wolf does have some good pace here. He's trying to pull that gap, but the DRS is just too strong here.
Yeah, we're 6/10. I mean, the Wolf's does make you wonder, is the Wolf running a little bit less downforce here, because he is just about keeping enough gap to Hulkenberg to probably prevent the Alpine from having a challenge down into, I think, what is it going to be, turn 12? Is it on the old map? No, turn 11. Sorry, that flick right doesn't count. Yeah, he just seems to have just enough pace here to fend off the Alpine and ensure no attack is made.
Yeah, of course, that does come into factor, but this point here is where the detection point is on the track, and that serves all the way down into turn 3. But you could just see that the delta is increasing in that 3rd sector, so I wouldn't be surprised if that car is hooked up very nicely for the corners and the straight line speed, because now you can see that gap is coming down fast, just into the 5/10 territory. But yeah, that's the problem. Full DRS locations, it's very hard to pull away once your rival behind you is in that zone. As you can see again, the Wolf having a rear locking, it looks like, into turn 3. So turn 3 is causing some issues for the Wolf, but he does have some good overall pace. So this is the problem. Hulkenberger will see these errors and he'll try and go for it, but if he's not got enough straight line speed, he won't be able to make the move. But of course they're going to be...
big moment! Ginger Tiger in the wall! Out of the race! Down at turn 6 and 7, it's not an unusual corner to have an accident on. But that was a big impact for the Williams, and that's his sprint race over. He's now going to have to go back to the garage and watch the remainder of this one before the feature race qualifying.
Yeah, that really, we caught that on camera as well. We saw how that car went. Unfortunately, it's gone in the wall, but I'd always say...
a bit of contact between J. Ray Bay and Ira. Turn 11, and it's allowed Clips Kiri to be opportunistic here, although he gets a little bit loose through 12. And he's trying to go around the outside of J. Ray Bay. A bit more contact as he tries to get the throttle on out of it. Just about holds on for his top 5, but J. Ray Bay's going to be coming back at him because that's a good run from the Alpine. Question is, does he do it now or does he do it after turn 2? And he's going to back out with turn 1. And I feel he should have probably backed out of that earlier to get a better run out because he just tightened his line up a little bit through 1.
Yeah, and that's put J. Ray Bay now all over the rear, but J. Ray Bay backs out of it. Sauber looking very close of Stephen, but not enough there. But as we head into turn, I believe it's 7 from the count, or 8, so I'm not sure. They call the curbs and little kinks in the straight differently, but the Wolf has a 6/10 gap so far as Trish Games gets a 3-second penalty. But it looks like the Wolf has got everything covered so far in these first 5 laps. But Iron still in this fight as well.
So
J. Ray Bay gets through.
Yeah, with the DRS down the inside of Clips Kiri. Gets that move done. And it's quite interesting actually where Ginger Tiger's gone off, because the right-hander after where Ginger Tiger's gone off, that is very commonly known as Jack TM53s, because Jack's crashed on that flat right-hander, I think 2 or 3 times in IRL history. He's not had a good run actually as Jack in Australian Grand Prix. I think he's only ever finished one of his outings in the Australian Grand Prix in IRL, which I think was about 3rd, I believe. But otherwise, he's got a pretty good DNF rate. And normally at that particular bend at turn 8, he gets past Trist Games though. See, Trist, very sensible driver. I mean, he'll be the first to admit he's not the quickest, but he doesn't actually give away positions, but he won't fight it too much because he knows he's still learning the car, learning the game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He knows this fight is not with everyone, but he'll still give a good scrap when he can. Yeah, no, try and get as much finishes as he can for him. But the gap's closed a little bit between the Wolf and Hulkenberger. And actually, as I say that, Hulkenberger's closing in, but it's not enough into the breaking point. And it seems like the Wolf has got enough straight line speed to keep that car in check, as I think that's J-Ray Bay going on the move on Ira, and that is. J-Ray Bay gets up to P4, and as he does, picks up a 3-second time penalty. So easily done on this game. So we'll have to continue that. As that Clips Kiri, Clips Kiri having a look on Ira as well there, having to back out that one quite late. But yeah, the front three though, still going strong, all within DRS range, of course, apart from the Wolf, leading the pack.
And just a bit of a note here, whilst these guys fight for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, is that Bruce is, even with this DRS train and the DRS elements, Bruce is slowly reeling in this group. As Stephen down the inside of Clips gets the move done through one. But Clips is going to come back, and Lida Griesby isn't too far away on those soft tyres either, so they haven't quite worn out yet. Looks like a little bit of a clip of the wall, but 3/10 at the front. Hulkenberger. Can he keep it? Because we do know from the Wolf earlier, if you're around 3/10, this is a pretty easy overtake.
Yeah, and he's a lot closer this time round. He's much, much closer. The DRS opens now. He's going to go side by side, and it's going to go quite... I think it's going to be slam dunk done, and it is. Hulkenberger reinstates the lead of the sprint race. As JMB gets a 3-second time penalty, but we've seen the drivers can make the overtakes, but it's difficult to pull the gap.
Absolutely, and Clips Kiri was right on the back of O'Stephen, but couldn't quite get the move done into the 9-10 chicane. We'll have another by DRS, and there's Bruce. He's right on the tail of this battle now, as Jack picks up 3 seconds. Yeah, Bruce slowly running in, and Bruce is another one to be sort of spoken about, and a little bit like myself, he hasn't had a lot of time on this game, sort of trying to get used to it, understand it. So he is really developing quite nicely here in terms of pace and consistency, and every lap he just seems to just keep getting that little bit faster as he gets more and more comfortable with the car.
Yeah, every lap is valuable to the driver, even when mistakes are made, as we've seen with Ginger Tiger going off. That'll be a valuable lesson for the main race. But good little battle going on between the two Saubers and Clips Kiri. Closest battle on track, but I think that might change as Hulkenberger and the Wolf might be exchanging rounds once again. Gap just around 4/10 as the Wolf opens up his DRS. Is he going to close enough? He's closing a lot, actually. As I said, he's going to go around the inside line, actually. I thought he was going to go around the outside, and gets the move. Nicely done there from the Wolf. So I think that caught Hulkenberger by surprise, and it even did me there.
It's more change now further down. Clips Kiri gets past O'Steen. We got a yellow flag. It's Ira in the wall at the 9-10 chicane. He does get going. He's not lost a wheel. He's just lost the front wing. But that's a big shame for the McLaren driver as we continue on in this race. And so Bjorn has to... Last point as well, that incident for Ginger Tiger, no safety car deployed for that one, which is a very interesting tactic by the FIA. You'd kind of expect it around that corner, you'd have safety cars for those incidents, but Bruce on the tail end now of O'Stephen looking for sprint race points.
Yeah, no, the two Sauber boys, I'm sure they'll give it a bit of a scrap, but hopefully not risk anything too much. There are some good points on the table, hopefully, if they work together. But again, gap 5/10. As you said though, yeah, no VSC even for that incident, as Sirsbud gets through in the head of line of Griesby, so those softs are completely wearing down now. But Hulkenberger has dropped quite a lot of time on this lap, gap 8/10 as we head into turn 9.
Penultimate lap, it makes you wonder, did the Wolf just spend a few laps just getting that ERS sort of topped up, getting it ready, so when he did make the overtake, because in reality you don't have to burn the ERS to make an overtake around here, but if you burn it afterwards you can gain a fair chunk of time. So I wonder if the Wolf sort of done that, especially in these closing stages, as we now enter the final lap of this sprint race.
100% agree with you there, but the thing is, look again now, that gap's under 4 tenths just from the power of the DRS. So 1 lap of DRS is so important here. The Wolf is going to have to try and defend for one more go as we get a yellow flag. I think that's just Ira coming through slowly. It is, but yeah, the Wolf has just got around 5 tenths behind him, but Iron is quite close actually, still in this. So if any scraps happen in front of him, he's there to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, and the big fight here, Hulkenberger to Iron in the championship. Iron has a 20-point lead over Hulkenberger. Obviously, they're 10. Obviously, Iron's 10 behind Jody and Manu before tonight. But that's the key. That's the key equation now for Hulkenberg, and this is why he's now making this move into 9 and 10, because that's now a 2-point swing, as it were, in this championship, and every point counts, especially as we rack off the rounds. We do have another sprint later this season for round number 9 at Montreal, as the Wolf just gets a little bit twitchy out of 11, and that's going to give Hulkenberger enough room here to just easily come through the final couple of corners. Nice and easy, make sure you don't spin the rears up to the line. It is Hulkenberger who wins the sprint race in Australia from the Wolf. Iron finishes in 3rd. J. Ray Bay will come home for 4th place in the Alpine. Followed by Clips Kiri in the RB. And we didn't see it on screen, but IRC Bruce takes the final point here. I say that, it won't be. He'll take 5th place, he'll take 2 points. Oh, Stephen 6th because of Clips Kiri's indiscretions with track limits. Sir Spud loses 8th place to Alina Griesby. Spud 9th. JMB Surreal 10th. Madman comes home in 11th. Mikey RK 13th. In 12th. I'm not really sure what I DNF'd on the last lap. Not quite sure, but there we go. Mikey 12th. Jack 13th. Darryl will come home in 14th. And Tris Games, you have to applaud him. He does carry on. He does continue to get laps under his belts. And he's going to finish. And he's going to finish this race. And that's 10 laps of practice almost for him around this circuit.
Yeah, but the main points come in the main Grand Prix. So, but no, the Wolf had an awful exit out of 6 and 7. That's why he just did not get the drive. And that poor exit follows you up all the way into turn 9. So that would have made him defenceless against the likes of Hulkenberger. But no, it's all valuable information for the main race coming up very, very shortly. But before then, we'll have another round of one-shot quali to go.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see what people do in terms of their setups. But provisional results: Hulkenberger takes the win from the Wolf. Iron, J. Ray Bay, Bruce O'Steven, Clips Curie, Lionel Griesby, Sir Spud, JMB Surreal, Madman, Mikey, Jack, Darryl W28, Tris Games, Ira and Ginger Tiger both DNFing in that race. I mean, Ira probably could have just taken the line, to be honest, and just been a lap down.
Yeah, no, I think maybe. I don't think the saving a set of tyres would have been worth it because they were already used quite a few laps in. But yeah, no, it's good double points though for the Sauber duo, but as well the Alpine. We've seen this season the fight between the Alpines and the Mercedes. This first half has swung more towards Mercedes end, but with only one Mercedes driver here tonight, that can completely swing back the other way.
Absolutely, and it's worth noting. Obviously, Bruce isn't full time in that Sauber, so though Stephen's still the sole Sauber runner in essence, Bruce just a reserve. And this is where you kind of have to be a bit careful when you're a sort of a full-time driver and a full-time runner, in that if you do get a reserve as your teammate, you have to remember that your team almost becomes like an F2 team, because the other driver has no obligation to really help you out. They're not fighting for those constructors, they are literally fighting for themselves.
Yeah, no, 100%. But as well, it is quite nice to at least have no team orders. We get to see some good proper racing. Of course, they'll try and be as appropriate as they can with one another, not push each other off because they are in the same car, but they don't necessarily have to let one go. So, but yeah, no, it's still surely they worked clearly well in that sprint race. But yeah, no, we'll go into a main race and we'll see where they are in position. But again, one-shot quali we go into. it still really does shake up things, depending on how much risk over one lap do you take, because we have fast corners such as 6 and 7 here, 9 and 10 as well, where you can easily invalidate your lap, but by just pushing that little bit more gains you a heap of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the drivers will probably be making a few adjustments to the set now. Of course, they do have the freedom to change that from the sprint race, but after this one-shot quali, they do not have the luxury to do so. So they'll probably change a few minor tweaks, wing angles, maybe tyre pressures, but it does seem to be quite standard to have the tyre pressures fairly high regardless into a sprint weekend, as they like to tend to fall off the cliff very easily and have high temperatures on the rear especially. As I think we have someone leaving the session. I think that was Lionel Griesby. Hopefully he can get back in without any issue.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out, because see, sprint weekend's obviously quite a hard one to sort of do, because you only get the one-shot quali rather than a sort of a session of qualifying to get yourself back in.
Yeah, no, as well the tyre allocations. Hopefully Lionel Griesby could get it in, but if that does mean, I believe that would potentially be a restart if he can't join, I think, from the rules and regulations. But yeah, we'll see how it develops. But yeah, we're still waiting for the green light. Of course, try and bring in Griesby back into the session, and hopefully we can get going.
Yeah, so whilst we wait for one-shot qualifying to get underway, let's remind everyone of the calendar for this season. Obviously, we are in the second half of this season. 10 rounds this season for season 21 here of IRL. We are on round number 6 for Australia. We do still have Miami for round number 7, the Netherlands for round 8, Canada round 9, and ending at the usual ending place of F1, Abu Dhabi. And it looks like we've been given the go-ahead. So whatever's happening with Lionel Griesby, he may not be partaking in this session, but maybe get back in for the race itself.
Yeah, no, that'll be a shame. He'll have to take that penalty into the race, but who are we running on board?
I'm going to run on board with Sir Spud, and as we head down towards turn number 1, hit the brakes down to 4th gear for Sir Spud. Bring the throttle back in as you then open the DRS down towards turn 3. Find your braking point around about 75 metres as you drop into 3rd and into the car park area, which is notoriously slippy. Just got to be very patient everywhere. It should be flat through the next right-hander, all the way up towards 6 and 7. Drop it a few gears for Sir Spud to get the front to bite, and didn't really want to bite either, and it's just almost oversteered too much on the exit. It's giving him a bit of a poor run on the way out. DRS goes back open as we head all the way along towards 9 and 10. Drop a couple of gears, flick it left, flick it right, don't take too much curve on the exit, you will spin out. DRS back open, flat through this little kink and down towards turn 11. It's amazing, 75 metres you break into this 90-degree right-hander. A little bit too late though for Sir Spud, so he just runs a little bit deep. 12, roll it through, again don't take the inside curve. 13, all the way down to 2nd as you try and tip it in. Try and get to the left-hand side to open up the final corner of 14. Open the DRS, straight to the line, and it's Ginger Tiger with a 1:16.7 on pole. So Spud sets a 19.0.
As we were going through that on board with Spud, had to mention Bruce was really fighting up there for Paul. Unfortunately, I think in the last sector, having a little bit of a mistake, dropping him back, but he was really up there in contention. But Ginger Tiger, who takes pole position for the main race, following Hulkenberger on the front row. The Wolf in P3, followed by Iron in P4, the Mercedes. J. Ray Bay in P5 with Clips Kiri in 6th, with Bruce in 7 and Jack in P8. Oh Stephen and Madman on the 4th row, and then following that with Sir Spud and Mikey, with Lionel Grisby right behind his teammates in 13th, with Trish Games in 14th, and the non-classified Ira and JMB retiring, and a invalidated lap from Darryl. But I think all three of them had an invalidated lap. The only difference is two of them retired. And that's the grid going into the main race. So, 5.2 kilometer lap. We've seen how clearly important that DRS is. That's definitely surely on the minds of these drivers tonight, staying with the DRS, potentially maybe going for the undercut or maybe even an overcut. I'd imagine, Jordan, it's definitely going to be playing on the minds, because if you know you've got faster pace, maybe boxing a lap before, trying to protect from the cars behind, could be a better strategy, because when you come out you might be clear of that 1 second gap.
You might be, but then you run the risk if you don't stay in the train, almost, of actually, if you've got a train of like 3, 4, 5 cars, if you're the first one to pit, all of a sudden you lose that DRS element. And you can actually, if you don't come back out with some DRS, you can lose a fair bit of time just in that. You can actually lose your undercut ability just by not having DRS.
Yeah, it really can go either way. I think the important thing is where you are in that train. If you're not getting any DRS yourself and you're dragging everyone along, maybe going in clear air might help. It depends how you fit it, because maybe in the DRS train some drivers tend to be more respectable with it, where they just sit and follow for the majority of the race, and some will just try and overtake. If the battling gets quite intense and then you start to lose time because of these battles, then it's suitable to come in and make that undercut work. But if you are dragging each other along, then sometimes there's no need to pit in, because you'll actually lose more time by pitting, because you won't get DRS yourselves. It really just depends how you are and how the others around you use that DRS in their way.
Yeah, it's almost like a strategic headache, this place, as to what you do, but ultimately you kind of have to stick to your guns and hope you choose the right one.
Yeah, no, but of course now the cars get fueled up much more, and we'll head into what is a 28 lap race. Is that correct?
No, it'd be 30.
It was 20. Is it 30? Okay.
It'd be 30, yeah, because obviously where the track, I think it used to be around 27, 28 for 50%, but obviously where they made the track changes, I think they actually shortened the lap slightly, so they end up having to do more laps. Because the sprint race was 10 laps, and that's a third race distance. So.
Ah, yes. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, so 30 laps ish. Yeah. So the drivers will have to think now about the long game, of course, sprint. But no, we did see drivers still buying their time, waiting until the right moment to strike between mainly the Wolf and Hülkenberg. But now they've got a full race trim of fuel probably in the tank. So yeah, turn-ins are going to be a lot more tricky, especially in the likes of 6 and 7, even 9 and 10 as well. So it just changes how the whole dynamic of the car responds and how much heavier it is on those tyres. So the drivers will need to keep it quite clean for the first stint of the race and just understand how the car handles.
Yeah, well, slightly off topic. I'm just looking at the McLaren garage. It looks like someone's cemented or done that flooring at the garage with the tyres still in there. They seem to be sunk into the ground. So that's a new one. That's going to be quite hard when you need them for a pit stop.
Yeah, a new strategy down at McLaren for Ira, but don't tell Christian Horner.
Concrete blocks for wheels.
Don't tell Christian Horner, he won't be too happy. McLaren's new tricks, but yeah, no. Hopefully, I hope those tyres are not as they are coded to what we're seeing right now. Otherwise, that'll be a very painful race for Ira. But yeah, as we wait along, so we have a potential one-stopper, two-stopper. We saw obviously the only alternative strategy there in the sprint was Line of Greasby. I did run on board with him on the last 2 laps. His soft tyres were completely finished. So, I mean, he did complete 10 laps of racing, but can we see softs be used anyway, even in a two-stopper here? Maybe with safety cars with the last few laps, but besides that, could we see it play more into this race?
I think we could do. I think there's every chance. I mean, you did see they did last sort of 6-7 laps before they really did start to struggle. So I could potentially see someone at the end of the race maybe taking a flyer on them, but I think it all depends on the race situation. Just looking at the comments, Formula Com saying the man, the myth, the legend, AJLS. Yeah, in the commentary box. And Beyond the Bow saying a crazy flat spot for the tyres.
Absolutely, I think flat spot is a bit of a generous terminology. But yeah, no. As we head now to start the formation lap for the Australian Grand Prix. And yeah, no, we have another full half, I should say, of the season to go. And in the land down under is where we begin that halfway point, and Ginger Tiger will be leading the pack on this lap, but I'm sure he's going to want to keep it down into the run of turn 1.
Yeah, he didn't get a good getaway last time around, but he's on the opposite side of the grid for this run. And looking at the tyres, a good split between everyone. So you've got 7 runners on the hard tyres. They are Jack, Madman, Sir Spud, Mikey, Lina Greasby, Trist and JMB Surreal. The rest of the grid all on medium tyres to start this race.
So clearly the front runners, mainly the front runners going on that medium tyre. It will give you the better launch, but it won't go as long as the hard tyre. But it could be maybe the mediums, they just cover the drivers behind them if they go on the hard tyres. The thing is, they're all going to be wanting to react to each other here in this top fight, and so they're clearly thinking about DRS games because it's so powerful here. So maybe just keeping with the same strategy and think about the end result is the most important thing, because you've said it multiple times, Jordan, it's not where you start, it's where you finish.
Absolutely, and without sort of dragging up the past, I mean, it was probably mine and Bruce's specialty back in our Tier 3 days. It's definitely a specialty of ours. We would qualify appallingly and then somehow drag our cars back up into the points. So, and they do say, I mean, apart from sprint weekends, points are given out on Sunday.
100%. Can't be Mr. Saturday man George Russell himself. You can also be Mr. Sunday, despite us racing on a Tuesday evening. So who can be Mr. Tuesday tonight?
And some interesting warm-up techniques as we get everyone on the grid ready to go. Now, one thing you won't see much of here at Australia is some crazy parking angles, but for the second time tonight, the cars are on the grid. The lights illuminate. We have 5 red lights on the gantry. And we are racing for the feature race here in Australia. And the question is, has Ginger Tiger got a good getaway? I don't think he's got as good a getaway as he wanted, but he's still going to lead into turn number 1, just about ahead of Hulkenberger. Further behind, we've got Sauber on the grass of Bruce. As we exit turn number 2, it's a lot of position changes in the background. Looks like Ira and Daryl making up places in the background. As we head into turn 3, Ginger Tiger still leading the way from Hulkenberger. Ira in 3rd, the Wolf 4th, J. Ray Bay is currently in 5th. And we now start to go single file as we head towards turn number 5, which is definitely a place you don't want to be going side by side. Just asks for an accident. And so single file now all the way into the second sector.
Yeah, no, very clean start from everyone. Don't think really any damage to any driver so far. So good starts from all 17 drivers. But single file is the way it goes now. And now check into the long race instance. Ginger Tiger done everything he's needed to do on this first lap. But now he has the likes of Hulkenberger right behind.
Yeah, this is not going to be an easy race for Ginger Tiger. Hulkenberger, we've seen very, very good strategically wise. Those Alpines So the best in terms of strategy. Iron has good company here with the Wolf, and that's for third. You just see the whole field, apart from Sir Spud, who's just dipped outside, but everyone up to 13th, all within a second of the car ahead, as DRS gets enabled, and we enter the F1's longest DRS train that you'll see, and that's a bad exit from O'Stephen out of turn 2, and Jack goes flying past. It was a bad run through 1 and 2. J. Ray Bay, the Wolf, side by side. The Alpine on the inside for turn 4, up towards 5. Bit of collision, and J. Ray Bay and the Wolf go wide. Clips Kiri, unfortunately, couldn't quite take advantage. Just clips Kiri into the wall now, as I think he just ran slightly wide, couldn't get the car turned in. Has he got damage on that RB? It looks like he's okay from a visual inspection. O'Stephen trying to fight back against Jack, and he has done successfully. He's actually Bruce now trying to get back past Jack. Obviously, Jack on those harder compound tyres. The Wolf and J. Ray Bay. I don't know whether that's J. Ray Bay sort of semi-letting past the Wolf, or whether it's just a genuine DRS overtake. I want to say the latter, but the Wolf back up into 4th. Just a little bit of a crazy few corners there.
Yeah, no, but from visual inspection on the Wolf, he does have damage on his front wing. Right front end plate gone on the Aston Martin, so he's going to have to take that downforce penalty until the stop if he wishes to change that front wing.
On to lap 3 they go. Ginger Tiger still leading the way by 3/10 to Hulkenberger. Question is, can he continue to hold that gap? As I say that, no he can't, because Hulkenberger is ahead into turn 1 and 2, and he's going to get that dose of DRS to pull away, and here comes Iron to the inside of Ginger Tiger. And Ginger Tiger, that was a bit of a weird one that from Ginger. He just sort of broke really early, just allowed Iron through. Not sure what was going on there. I don't know if that's Ginger Tiger maybe trying not to interfere too much in the championship fight, because obviously Hulkenberger and Iron now technically the front runners in it, even though they're not quite past Juliana Manu yet, they're not far away from it. As we got a yellow flag, that's Tris Games in the car park lot.
I think the reason why Ginger Tiger was overtaken very easy, he did not have DRS, because remember that detection point's all the way before the final corner, so he did not have DRS despite going in to turn 1 second, so he does take that at a loss. But the Wolf and J. Ray Bay, and actually this whole train is really bringing everyone along here into the top 3, so it could be single file for a while now, but the front runners though still keeping it around 7/10, so we'll see what Iron's got. Bit quiet in the sprint race, was just hanging in there, but now he does have one car ahead of him who will not have DRS range, so hopefully he's going to have a try at the lead of the race as Iron sets the fastest lap, understandably within that DRS range, so he's closing in on Hulkenberger.
Yeah, 6/10 of a second. Ginger Tiger is nearly outside of DRS zone here. I don't know what's going on with that car, because we know he's not that slow. He is outside of DRS, so I don't think something's right with that car. Something's wrong with it. He broke really early into turn 3 that time that he got overtaken. I don't think it was necessarily just DRS. He broke really early. I don't know if he's struggling for grip already, or if the tyres are just overheating, but I'd say Ginger Tiger's just struggling just a little bit at the moment with that car.
Yeah, no, it does not look like the same car it was 2 or 3 laps ago. So, and you can see the rear sliding there into turn 9. I don't know if you caught that, Jordan, but something's not right. Could it maybe be rear damage? We don't really know when there's rear downforce loss, because the game doesn't have that coded in to show that downforce off the rear wing. So it could be, or like you said, maybe the rears are just struggling under this race trim, high fuel load, so more pressure on those rear tyres.
Yeah, I mean, he's managed to get himself back into DRS range of Iron, so he's going to continue on. Clips Kiri's lost a bunch of time. He's now 2.3 behind J. Ray Bay, and is now under attack from O'Stephen. O'Stephen to the inside of turn 1. Should be a nice simple move. It is a simple move. And now Jack Team 53, trying to get me words out, now also looking down the inside with DRS. That again, unfortunately for Clips Kiri, he's just going to get hung out to dry, although he's managed to hang it around the outside. Inside for 4. This is a good little battle. Are they going to go side by side through 5? Surely not. Yeah, Clips Kiri decides he doesn't fancy that one, but he looked for a switchback up towards 6, can't quite get it, and Jack up into the top 7.
Jack's looked really good so far on those hard tyres as well, remember. So he's making some good grounds at this stage of the race. So he's got O'Stephen next in front of him. But for the front fight here, gap between Hulkenberger and Iron was down to 2.5 tenths as Jack overtakes O'Stephen. So that's another position gained for the Williams driver. As I think that was O'Stephen who had a little bit of a tank slapper there out of turn 10. That's just brought Bruce a little bit closer around. But as I was saying, and I think that's actually DJ Madman making a move on Clips Cleary. Coming out of nowhere, takes the position. Nicely done for the Haas driver. But as I was saying, Jack looking very racy and comfortable on those hard set of tyres.
Yeah, the other thing we don't really know as well is what's the temperatures like, because if it's quite a warm day, those hards are going to fare a lot better as Ira comes into the pits. That seems really early for Ira. Has he got some damage on that car? I don't think he did. Let's just come in to bolt some hard tyres on. So that's not good news for Ira, because only 5 laps on those mediums. That's a really, really short stint.
Yeah, it's quite surprising because they did 10 laps in the sprint. Of course, the fuel load's much less than what they are now, but that's surely a 2-stopper then for Ira. And when I say 2-stopper, surely another set of hards to go after this, because if the mediums could only do 5 laps, there's no way he can set another set of mediums after.
Only one way to find out, and let's just see how his progress goes. Meanwhile, Hulkenberger now got just under half a second to Iron. Jerry Bay close to the Wolf as well. Bruce closing in on his temporary teammate for the night. Can't quite find the gap to get past Stephen yet, but he's going to have to be a bit careful because he's got Madman just behind.
Yeah, no, Madman, he's also on the hard tyre. His pace is looking good as well. The hard's looking to be a good tyre. Like I said, the hards are more consistent, more knowledge going into it, because you just can put so much more trust into them not to fall off. But because it is working for it, and as I said, Jack's pulled out a second now. Almost Stephen, he's out of DRS range if he was at the text point, and he is. So there's pace on these hard tyres.
Yeah, good pace so far, but the question is, because they're going to have to run the medium tyre, so if it's the case that these hards are the better race tyre at the moment, they're going to have to make sure, Jack's going to have to make sure he gets scampering up the road, because obviously he's going to have to suffer the same fate as these medium runners at some point during this race.
Yeah, they will, as Lyon Grigsby gets through Darrell, but do bear in mind when he will make his pit stops, the fuel loads will go down, so hopefully a bit more easier. But maybe that 2-stopper comes into play. Maybe it's a 2-stopper race, because the way it goes, as unfortunately Jack picks up a penalty, 3-second time penalty going his way. But no, that the mediums compared to the hards not looking as comfortable. Maybe that's what Ginger Tiger's struggling, because he's still only on the back, and in fact he's actually out of DRS range at the detection, and as I say that, he bolts into the pits after 6 laps only. So he's had enough of those medium tyres, and I'm imagining there's going to be a set of hard tyres waiting for him at the stop.
Has to be. There's no way you can have another set of mediums, surely. It is a set of hards for Ginger, and tyre wear, seemingly what looked like wasn't much of a problem in the sprint race, seemingly is a problem for this feature. But again, we don't know what the differences in temperature and weather are between the 2 sessions.
Yeah, 100%. The temperatures will be a factor, but I think as well part of that is in the sprint, the stop is not mandatory, so it's best to just take the pain and go 10 laps on the mediums. But clearly, I don't even see how the hards are going to make another 21, 22 laps if you can barely do 7 laps on the medium.
Yeah, I guess the other thing as well with the sprint race, obviously you're only starting with a third of the fuel level as well, so that will help the tyre wear situation. But yeah, Bruce has also come into the pits quite early as well, so it's seemingly going to be a bit of a feature. The question is the likes of Hulkenberg and Iron going to come in to try and cover Ginger Tiger here? Hulkenberger, no. Iron, no. The Wolf, no. J-Ray Bay, no. Jack obviously won't because he's on the hard tyre.
Yeah, he won't, but critically, first lap run, Iron is not in DRS range, as this is the Wolf and J-Ray Bay. J-Ray Bay is going to go around the outside, takes the position off the Wolf and gets into the podium places here. And he will continue that DRS into turn 3, and he's well clear of the Wolf as Tris Games picks up a 3-second penalty. But the gap now is 1.5 between Iron and Hulkenberg. The moment Iron went out that DRS detection point, he's dropping now. So could there be another Alpine to fight this Mercedes? But he's not going to be wanting it from the car behind. So 1.2 is the gap between him. But don't forget, J-Ray does have a penalty as Bruce gets through and ahead of his teammate for tonight, which is O'Stephen.
Yeah, the big question here for Ginger Tiger is wide from J-Ray Bay through the 910 chicane. Wolf goes screaming back past him, just running wide. That's not a place you want to run wide on at all for the Alpine driver, and he'll lose a place for his efforts. Jack behind, closing the gap slowly. Meanwhile, the leaders still not coming into the pits. This is big news.
I think the problem is now, if they come into the pits, they know they're losing out to Ginger Tiger, and on the hard tyre, if it's only a lap or two delta, that might not be enough. So I think their best course is to now stick to what they've originally planned and try and get a bigger tyre offset.
Or is this the start of a one-stop strategy?
It could be. That's the thing. Ginger went in quite early, only a lap or two ago, as he sets the fastest lap there. Clearly the tyres quite happy on him. So that's the thing. But the thing is, the indication point here is Jack. He's the closest man to the front runners. He's on the hard tyres for the same amount.
Oh, collision between J&B and Mikey. J&B late on the brakes. I think he was trying to take avoiding action, just went the wrong way. Unfortunately, into the side of the Ferrari, and round he goes. Luckily, it looks like Mikey's got away with it and carried on in his straight line. So, I mean, it wasn't a bad effort from J&B to make sure there was very little damage. Unfortunately, he's spun on his own race, but better than taking out a car in full term.
100%. But as we go back to the front, gap 2.3 as Darrell picks up a penalty. So Hulkenberg, now that he's checked out that DRS range, he's got some pace as Klipskeri gets through and ahead of J&B. I think the nearest battle currently between Lionel Grisby and Darrell. But yeah, as I say, I think now the commitment is clearly to the one-stopper for the front runners as J-Ray Bay. Still quite close, but now the Wolf has that DRS range from Iron, so this is going to make J-Ray Bay's life a bit harder than he last time went through on the Wolf. So he's going to have to deal with that as Darrell comes into the pits off the medium tyres.
Mikey into the pits after 9 laps on the hards, or 10 laps on the hards, sorry. So that's not ideal for the Ferrari to only do 9 laps on the hard tyre. That means he's probably going to make a 2-stop strategy here.
Could this potentially be what Bjorn mentioned? Try the hard, medium, hard. Use a bit of the hards, use whatever is left on the mediums, and then go to another set of hards at the end of the race. Could potentially look that way for the likes of Mikey.
Bay looking to the outside of the Wolf, isn't quite far enough alongside. Can't quite find it. But here's the thing, Ginger Tiger, I've got the, for those watching the stream, I do have the gap to the leader on at the moment rather than intervals, just to show you the sort of pace that Ginger Tiger has. And it looks like he's got around sort of a lap at the moment, quicker pace than Hulkenberger at the front of the field. And Hulkenberger continues to go round. And we have the first of the front runners in. That is Iron and the Wolf. They have decided to bail now. 12 laps on the medium tyres. Will those hards go 17? We got a yellow flag. I think that's Tris Games just trying to stay out of the way of the leading cars. As Jack TM53 Slots is now all over the back of J-Ray Bay.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, as there's contact into turn 3, Jack goes into the back of the Alpine, and he's gonna give the place back, which is fair play. So he gives the place back to J-Ray Bay, but I think he just wasn't expecting as much braking performance. He just broke so much later than J-Ray Bay. J-Ray Bay now picks up a penalty. It's going to be difficult to do one stopper pitting off early as the yellow flag. I think that's just Trist getting out of the way. Yes, it is. Okay. But yeah, no, it's mighty close. But you lose 21 seconds here for a pit stop. I think Ginger Tiger will come out we should come out ahead of Hulkenberg, I believe. Yes, he will. He will come out by quite some margin, but there'll be a big tyre offset between the two drivers as Spud gets a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem here for Jack is that might have just ruined his tyre strategy as well, because he's taken front wing damage and you can tell the car doesn't really want to turn in. But the problem is he's locked into this hard strategy. He's going to have to deal with that loss of front end grip. As the Hulkenberg are in the pits. Where is Ginger Tiger coming round the final corner? Where is Hulkenberg? He's just about to exit the pits. So yeah, Ginger Tiger into the net lead of this race for now. So Spud is going to split the Williams and the Alpine, although you have to think that Hulkenberg may make short work of that Aston Martin once he gets onto the back of it. But the key element, 5 laps of tyre delta difference for Hulkenberg, and potentially a pit stop in hand, almost, because we're thinking Ginger Tiger may have to come back in the pits.
Yeah, that's the thing. 5 laps. The question is that a bit too much to ask to do a one-stopper? But the problem is, if you're sticking to the 2-stopper, is that enough then to have a tyre offset? That's the question. I imagine Ginger will probably try and keep clear air and maybe try and go long here, as Hulkenberg makes it very easy already onto Spurs. That's a retirement. That's a retirement in pit lane. That's Trist retiring into the pit. So no VSC or safety car coming as O'Stephen gets through on Ira into turn 9, as all the other Sauber driver having a look at the McLaren, but he's now got the Wolf behind. The Wolf's on much fresher tyres here, and he's unable to get through in the head, and again he has to hesitate. This is really hurting the Wolf now. J-Ray Bay will come in. I won't be surprised. That's not a place you
normally overtake. Turn 12 from the Wolf. That's just the difference of grip. So he goes round the outside of 13. Oh, still getting very, very tight, but Bruce eventually concedes that position.
Keep an eye on J-Ray Bay. I think he will be ahead of the Wolf here because of that lost time, and he will be. So that's worked into the Alpine's favour, but he does have a Sauber right on his rear wing, and actually technically ahead. The question is, J-Ray Bay should have a lot more downforce, but he doesn't know how much pace there is on those set of hards, but he should make the overtake. It's still side by side, and he just gets ahead through here, but you could see how much time, by pitting a lap early, getting into traffic, that hurts your race.
Yeah, Lionel Greasby getting past Darrell. Lionel Greasby now on the medium tyre, although I don't think he's going to stretch those out that far, so he's going to be coming back in the pits at some point, I think. But up to 13th for now for him. And we'll go back to intervals on the leaderboard. Jack obviously still circulating, but still on those hard tyres, but also with a bit of front wing damage at the moment. The question is, how far can he make those hards go? And if anyone has a crasher and a safety car appears, Jack is in a very good position right now to be able to change that front wing, get some new boots on the car, and be in a good position on the restart. But that's all if buts and maybes as the Wolf goes around the outside of Ira in turn 13.
I think if Jack wants a safety car, I think he needs it a little bit later, because seeing drivers struggle after 8 laps on the mediums, asking for another set of 15 could be a bit too much for the set of mediums. So I think if he wants a safety car, it needs to come a little bit later for him. But the Williams pair will be hoping to stop the count at this exact moment, because they're currently 1-2, but don't let that fool you. Jack still needing to make a pit stop, and Ginger Tiger could be making a second stop.
Ira and the Wolf, side by side with Wolf. Coming off, slightly off circuit through the car park. Ira not making this easy for the Wolf to get by, and this really is, I mean, if you thought the Wolf's race was being hurt by Bruce not giving way, it's getting hurt even more by Ira being in the way. And what's worse for sort of the Wolf is here he comes round the outside into 9 and 10. Surely that's done. Yes, it is. The Wolf finally gets up into 9th, but the problem is his next target is now O'Stephen, and we all know O'Stephen doesn't just give away his position either.
No, absolutely, but that's a lot of wasted time. Or I shouldn't say wasted, say lost time for the Wolf. And that's put him really far back off the Alpine. He's around 4.5-5 seconds off him. But the next driver, O'Stephen, he won't make it too easy as Madman. Oh, and Iron's gone round and contact. I think that was the Ferrari line of Greasby tapping the rear. And that sent Ira spinning round, and it's an unfortunate place because is he going to be able to make it to the pit lane? No, he's not. Oh, just on the, you can see on the main straight sliding as the grass all over the rear wheels. As I think that's the Sauber of Bruce with Darrell.
Yeah, it was actually, I think Ira lost. I think Ira and Madman went side by side through 13. Ira ended up going wide all over the grass, spun the wheels up, spun the car back into the pack. And unfortunately, Bruce, the unfortunate innocent party and all of that, just collected the spinning McLaren, and it's given him significant front wing damage, and that's probably why he had that moment down in turn number 1. Meanwhile, at the front, Tiger's got past Jack, and here comes Hulkenberger. Jack not really fighting that one too much. He knows in reality this isn't his fight right now. He's just looking to not lose too much time.
Absolutely, but Jack could be the helping hand maybe for Ginger. But
and in comes Jack as we speak, which isn't a bad option because we did see the likes of Hulkenberger take the mediums 12 laps earlier. But we've got a yellow flag. That's Ira.
I think he's just limping home, is Ira.
I think he might have spun out of 9 and 10. He's also got obviously big front wing damage. Jack, where is he going to come?
Mediums.
What I mean is, but he's also changed the front wing. So a bit of extra time lost there. He's going to come out in 12th. So he's in the points, but he's got a bit of work to do to maximise this result now and get back up the order. More further up, J. Ray Bay looking to get past Clips Kiri here for 4th place. And again, pretty easy move, 5-lap delta on tyres. And J. Ray Bay through and into the top 4. This is looking very good right now for the Alpine team to take a lot of points out of Mercedes. Remember, Mercedes losing Jolyon and Manu. Got a 54-point gap between the top 2 constructors. But the Alpines now looking to really close in on that gap. They took a good result in the sprint race, even though it was minimal points in reality. These are where the main ones come from. Obviously, Hulkenberger in front of Iron, and then bonus points really from J. Ray Bay for that team.
Absolutely, but the view might be getting even better for the Alpine camp as Hulkenberger has his sights set right on the back of Ginger Tiger. So clearly those older hard tyres not having as much pace as he would have wanted. Gap just around 5/10 as we head out of turn 7, and the DRS will be enabled for Hulkenberg, as I think that's Ira who's gone round. Yes, it is full wing damage on him. Luckily no safety car VSC, but it might still be yellow as we get through here. But Hulkenberg not close enough to make a move as we go green flag. But yeah, gap remains around 5/10. The thing is, Ginger Tiger has a penalty as well. So what does Ginger Tiger do here? Does he go for another stop? Because it looks like Hulkenberg has a lot more pace as the Wolf gets through on O'Steven and up in P6 as I think that's Ira getting out of the way there with the yellow flags. And the gap remains around about 5/10, but you can just see how much better drive Hulkenberg is getting compared to Ginger Tiger, and he's closing a lot, and he might actually be able to get the move done and dusted before turn 1. He does so very, very easily. He does take a different line though, so that will compromise his exit, but he will have the DRS to help him along, and he does manage to clear Ginger Tiger. So the lead back to Hulkenberg.
Good stuff then from Hulkenberg. We got a yellow flag. That I think is J&B Surreal down in sector 3 as Jack TM53 sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:19.4. He's closing in on Lionel Griesby. He's on significantly older medium tyres compared to the Williams. And the question is, how long before Jack gets past that Ferrari?
You can see the tyre performance on Jack's car much better as well, even though as we head towards the end of this stint he'll still have much fresher tyres and mediums compared to the others around him. But the question is, Ginger now He's just gonna sit behind this DRS, I imagine, and try and allow that to drag him along to potentially finish this race as a one-stopper. As Jack gets through online, Griesby, nicely done for him up into P8, and he'll set his sights for O'Stephen up ahead in P7. But as I was going, Ginger's best solution, I think, here is to just try and hang with the DRS and cover off any other attacks from the likes of Iron.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest trouble you're going to have really for Hulkenberger is, you know, he's got to think sort of if Ginger Tiger stays with him, goes with him, they can gap Iron. That's a really nice thing for constructors and drivers, because that means Hulkenberg will be on 17 points of the race, Iron on 12, if I remember the point scoring system correctly. So it's important, but also Hulkenberg has to remember, if Ginger Tiger starts scrapping with him, he doesn't need to tangle with Ginger. Ginger is not in this championship fight, and if he fights too hard and they tangle, that could be a lot of points lost for Hulkenberger. So it's a really difficult situation right now for the Alpine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But one thing that will be going in Hulkenberger's mind is he does have significantly fresher tyres, 5-lap younger tyres. So at the end of this stint, he should have that to his advantage. But the thing is, Ginger Tiger is still holding on with this DRS. We know it's strong here, so it's keeping him within. But more importantly, they are actually gapping Iron as it stands. So whatever they're doing, it's working in both drivers' way here. But what Hulkenberger doesn't want is one simple little mistake, and that brings Ginger right on his gearbox.
Yeah, I don't think it's really going to take a mistake either because of the DRS system. Meanwhile, Jack getting past Madman for 6th place. So Jack making good use of those mediums, and he's climbing up through the field into the top 6. Remember, even though Ginger Tiger is in the Williams, he's not scoring team points. He is technically a reserve for Tier 2. So just Jack scoring for the Williams team tonight.
So again, Ginger Tiger still well within. He's not falling off despite much older, 5-lap older tyres as Darrell gets through on Bruce. As Darrell goes out, breaks himself into turn 3. That's how he gets through, but loses on the exit, and he will have to pay the price of some pretty awful tyres as he locked up into 3 there. But yeah, luckily nothing too bad for him. But as I was saying, actually, as I say that, Ginger Tiger just dropped out of the DRS, but at the detection point he was just within. So now he's still within, and more importantly, like I said, the gap is really increasing between Ginger and Iron because of that DRS.
Yes, but what this does enable Hulkenberger to do is, and basically he's dragging Ginger along with him. At the moment, it's sort of helping the deficit that Ginger Tiger has with those tyres to fend off from Iron here, because obviously Ginger's got that 3-second time penalty. But if Hulkenberg can play this smartly, he can drag Ginger along with him, even though Ginger's on the older tyres, and still maintain that gap. And as you've seen over the past couple of laps, even build that gap to Iron.
Absolutely, and as well, in terms of the constructors' fight, if he'd rather give the second position points to Ginger or Iron, he's going to give it to Ginger, because remember that Mercedes, they're fighting the Alpine, so Alpine want to try and maximise the points they can get and try and hurt Mercedes where they can. So by keeping Ginger maybe in that DRS and protecting with his 3-second penalty, trying to stop the points going Iron's way, that could be a potential possibility for Hulkenberger.
And also, not to forget, J-Ray Bay, even though he's 2.4 behind Iron, he does have 2-lap fresher tyres. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but in this game, compared to previous generations, it is actually worth a lot more than you think. And you can see J-Ray Bay actually just that gap slowly coming down. But not quite by enough just yet.
Only issue is on J-Ray Bay. He does have 6 seconds worth of penalty, so that's an awful lot he's going to have to make up to catch Tyrant and then overtake and pull a 6-second gap. That's a mighty lot to ask, but never say never, as Klipsky I think makes. No, that's 2 pit stops actually coming from Sir Spud and Lionel Griesby.
Madman and Lionel Griesby.
Oh, Madman and Griesby, sorry. So There you go. There's the softs, Jordan. We get to see the softs at the end of the race.
Yeah,
But,
and they're only going to have to do 6 laps on them, so they are right in that correct sort of window period, in my opinion. But again, as we've seen, we think the temperature is hotter, so those softs may not last quite as long.
yeah, no, absolutely. And as we go back to the front of the field, as you said, Jordan, the gap has been brought back down under a second. And that's again allowing Ginger to pull so much more away from Iron, as IRC Bruce gets a 3-second time penalty that we added to the finishing time. But yeah, no, the softs, do keep an eye on them, maybe potentially stealing the fastest lap. Of course, there are a few runners now on the softs. Mikey, the latest to pit for the Ferrari camp, so both Ferraris gonna try and go for the fastest lap potentially.
Yeah, every chance of that, as Lionel Greasby now joins the club with a time penalty. Hulkenberg now 1.1 ahead. He might need to just back off just a touch here. As I think he did. I mean, this is like, was it Carlos Sainz in Mexico last year, was it, if I correctly remember, playing the ultimate DRS game to keep people from catching.
You can also say it was Carlos Sainz back in Singapore of 2023, keeping Lando Norris in the DRS to stop the two Mercedes. Only this time round, it's not Carlos Sainz, it's Hulkenberg with Ginger Tiger. But it is a Mercedes chasing down, but at the way it's going, the Mercedes actually losing due to the lack of DRS.
And J-Ray Bay suddenly 1.2 behind Iro.
I was actually going to say that. You could see awfully close now. Is J-Ray Bay as Jack picks up a 3-second penalty.
Is that Jack's second lot of 3 seconds now? Is that now 6 seconds for Jack?
It should be 9, I think. It is
9.
Indeed 9. So he's got a bit of a gap behind. He's got 11 seconds behind him.
Plus Clips' penalty as well.
Yes, so he should be alright as long as Clips doesn't gain too much. He is on 2-lap fresher tyres and they're on the hard, so they should feel better towards the end of the stint compared to Jack's. But I think Jack should have this covered as long as no more penalties go his way. As now J-Ray Bay is under a second gap here, going under 6/10 even. Has there been a lot more pace from this Alpine maybe than we would have thought? Can he clear him? And I'm assuming he's going to clear him very soon, because he's just bringing that gap under 5/10, as he'll just have to wait until the DRS moment is now. The flap opens up and the drag gets reduced, straight line speed increased, but it's not going to be enough into turn 9. He still has to stay a lap back. Oh, you can see the rear of Iron goes, and there goes J-Ray Bay. Actually, you saw the dirty air affecting the Alpine, and that forces him wide and gets another penalty. So it's going to be a bit too much to ask for J-Ray Bay, but he'll give it all he can.
Yeah, and this is only ever going to help Hulkenberger and Ginger Tiger if these two now start to fight as well. Lionel Greasby gets past Stephen, but obviously Lionel Greasby does have that penalty that he needs to now scoot off up the road to try and keep that position. Bruce has managed to get himself back into the points of this race after that unfortunate incident with Ira, and I think that's just Mikey getting out of the way of the leaders.
Yes, yeah, Mikey. Just getting away, that's good to see, not affecting the front runners. But yeah, no, you can clearly see Hulkenberg is just keeping Ginger Tiger in check, just to secure this place for him. But you don't want to be backing off too much.
Interesting for J-Ray Bay, he now only has 2.5 seconds to the Wolf. That was around 6 seconds, I think. Mikey spun at the 9-10 chicane with people coming through. He's got to be careful now with the rejoint. He's got the Wolf coming through. He's going to have to get our move on, because there's a Williams on the way. Oh, Jack. Good effort on the rejoint. But unfortunate for Mikey, he's having a bit of a tough old season as our IRL director.
Fortunately, that happens. Sometimes it just doesn't go your way. You can try all you want, sometimes the luck just goes against you. But yeah, it hopefully doesn't last long. Good moments will come. You'll have your ups and downs, as as an experienced driver myself as well in this game. So yeah, hopefully look to more positive future for Mikey. But as he pits, I believe that's just to put on another set of softs on, try and have another attempt at the fastest lap. But he's going to have to be careful not to be lapped. I think he'll be okay. Oh, he has been lapped, has he?
Yeah, he's already been lapped.
So he'll be on. Okay, so understood. Yeah. So anyway, as JMB gets a penalty, but Jeremy is not been able to clear Iron. He's been in the DRS for a few laps now. He's not really had enough straight line speed as Ginger Tiger. It's a 3-second time penalty. That's important for the battle between himself and Iron. But Iron's got his own fight going on here between J Ray Bay. And again, J Ray Bay not able to make his way through. He's got the Wolf as well coming up quick. In fact, 1.6 now the gap between the Alpine and the Aston. J Ray Bay, though, having multiple penalties, he's going to lose that position regardless. As Steven now gets a 3-second time penalty. And then, as I say, that clips Kiri gets one himself. You really start to imagine these tyres are really falling off now, and drivers are struggling to keep the car within track limits.
Yeah, the tyres going off, grip levels going far down. It's making it interesting. Tristan in the chat saying he thought best to retire with a 13-second penalty and being lapped. And here comes J Ray Bay down the inside. A bit of a lock up on the entry, but it's all good, all controlled. And the Alpine now goes up into third, but he's going to have to hope for a massive miracle here, and for Iron to do a mega job in holding up the Wolf. If he wants to keep that place, he has got to deliver on the lap of all laps next time around.
Here we go, though. This is the problem now. This is for position. No penalties between Iron and the Wolf. So this is down to position, but this might actually suit Iron because he will get the DRS. So if he just stays behind J-Ray Bay's DRS here, maybe that's enough to protect him from the Wolf. But the Wolf having much fresher tyres. Oh, not actually same tyres. So now the pace is really starting to show on the Wolf, but it might be a bit too much to ask. But Iron is going to try and maximise the DRS from the Alpine in front. As we start the final lap, in fact. Hulkenberg across the line. He's checked out that DRS range from Ginger Tiger. But yeah, no. Iron, actually, as I say that, Iron is out of DRS range. He has it at the detection point, but the gap just got into a second there. And as I said as well with the Wolf, same thing for him. This could go either way here, depending on who's in the range or not, as JMB gets a penalty, a 3-second penalty to his time.
Further penalties coming, and it must be said, Ginger Tiger's done really well there. 21 laps so far on these. He's going to take these tyres 22 laps. Is Ginger. Obviously, he has been massively helped out by Hulkenberger. If he hadn't have managed to stick with Hulkenberger not almost allowing him into that DRS zone, you feel he would have been sort of caught by the guys behind, but as it is, it's worked out very nicely in his favour.
Absolutely. Just to go back here, Iron did not have DRS. Here comes the Wolf. The Wolf has DRS. Is he going to have enough to go on the inside? No, he doesn't. He has to back out, but that compromises his run, actually. And I think that's not going to be enough now. The gap too far to catch. And I think that might be settled, as we have Hulkenberg coming around the final corner. And it's been so far the perfect drive for Hulkenberg. He'll take victory in Australia and kickstart the second half of the season with a win. Ginger's in the pits.
I didn't know he had Esteban Ocon racing tonight, but I don't understand why he's come in the pits. He had second place all sewn up. So that means Iron takes second place, the Wolf third, J-Ray Bay fourth. Ginger Tiger finishes in fifth in the pit lane. Amazingly, losing out to J-Ray Bay still. Jack in sixth, Clips in seventh, Sir Spud in eighth. Liner Greasby. Well, let's see how these penalties pan out at the moment. I can see Bruce and Darryl having a bit of a fight. So Madman takes 8th, Liner Greasby 9th, so Spud drops to 10th. Oh, Stephen picks up 11th for now. 11th on the road. Bruce is 12th on the road. Is he going to keep this points paying position? Big spin on the end. Ginger Tiger's down as a DNF. No, I don't really understand what's going on there, but this is gonna really mess up our standings there. Bruce 12th, Darryl 13th in the end. JMB, there's a Mikey's lost a wheel over the start line, and that's not really the ideal situation for JMB. He's just demolished the car over the start-finish line.
Oh, well, the Red Bull crew won't be too happy with that, but what on earth happened to Ginger Tiger? Because surely that was not planned, was it? Was that maybe the AI? Did he go on AI? Did it bring him in because of the age or not? Because it didn't look.
The only
like
other thing I can think of is whether he's like trying to not get involved in this championship picture at the moment, or the championship fight, because he is just he is a reserve. But yeah, very strange, because Hulkenberger would have thought, oh, brilliant, I've got a car in between us now. I'm gonna get a good haul of points out of this, and it's turned out not to be the case for him. But provisional results: Hulkenberger takes the win from Iron, the Wolf in third, J Ray Bay fourth. Jack is. This is where it's going to get confusing here. It's Ginger Tiger fifth, Jack sixth, Clips seventh, Madman eighth, Line Greasby ninth, Sir Spud 10th, though Stephen 11th, Bruce 12th. Daryl is in 13th, JMB Surreal 14th. Ginger Tiger is actually in 5th. Then we have Mikey a lap down, Ira and Tris Games both retired in the end. I didn't see Ira retire, but yeah, obviously he did. We were obviously focusing on other battles.
Yeah, no, to go back to Ginger Tiger there, I still think, regardless reserve or not, there's still half of the season to go, of course. Anything can happen. It truly is never over until the checkered flag in Abu Dhabi. But yeah, it could be reasonable. Maybe he realises he's not going to really be there for many rounds, and he doesn't want to interfere with this battle, because this battle's been going on since round 1 between the Alpines and the Mercedes. So that could be a possibility, but yeah, no. Up until that point, I think nonetheless Ginger Tiger had a very solid race to go that distance on those set of hard tyres.
Yeah, very, very curious for sure. But that is the end of Australia. Some brilliant racing tonight, and if that's what we've got in store for the rest of the season, it's going to be a cracker for the final 4 rounds.
100%, and hopefully we get to have both Mercedes back in the hunt, because it's not over. We still have a couple of races to go, so it's just going to hopefully get tighter and tighter as we go closer to Abu Dhabi. But no, overall the racing spot on, which is good to see, and I think it made up for the lack of racing last night. But no, I'm definitely looking forward to some more.
So he's just about saying, what a race. It was a hell of a race. What a way to get back underway here in season 21. But for myself and ARL, that's what we have time for tonight. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure you like the stream, subscribe to the Invictus Racing League channel, and put the notifications on, because every race live streamed and commentated on this season for Invictus Racing League, and you don't want to miss any of it, especially with 5 rounds still to come of Tier 1 after the postponement yesterday, and 4 more rounds of Tier 2 to come, and the championship fight hotting up a hell of a lot after that result. It's going to be a close one to the end of this season. Jack, he did actually finish in the Australian Grand Prix for, I think, probably only the second time in IRL history. So he's going to take that like it's a win. He's just won the championship, but just by finishing this race, I think. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to the Invictus Racing League channel so you don't miss any of the live action racing from season 21 or the future seasons that will be coming up as well. Next week we head for Tier 2 to Miami. Jack, whilst you're there, actually, just let me know, is Tier 1 Australia happening next week, or is that going to go at the end of the season afterwards as the last round? You might be able to help us there on that one. I don't know if that's been decided yet or not. But if Jack is still there, question for him. But yeah, for Tier 2 next week we head to Miami for I think not the final street circuit of the season, but I wouldn't really even call it. Jack saying so both tiers then, from our understanding, will be at Miami next week. Australia being moved to after the end of the season, basically. So thank you very much for that, Jack. So yeah, Miami next week for both tiers. Monday, you'll get Jack TM53 Synopsis and Mikey RK13 in the commentary box for Tier 1. Myself and ARL will be back for Tier 2 next week. On the Tuesday, same time for both, 8 PM British time. So you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss out on it, especially this Tier 2 Championship fight. It's getting close. But from ourselves, thank you all for watching tonight. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you next week for the Miami Grand Prix.